So I am super excited to introduce our second speaker of the night. So our second speaker of the night is Akos, who was kind enough to move the slide forward for me. We'll have somebody from our team there doing that for you moving forward. So 3 fun facts about Akos. His first name means falcon. He used to row during high school, and he's a 2-time junior Hungarian rowing champ. Super cool. And he also has 25 takeoffs as a glider pilot, but he hasn't finished the training yet. Very exciting. Akos, come on up here and share your fuck up.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marsha, for the kind introduction. Yeah, fortunately enough, the worst thing that can happen to me today is that I fuck this up. So I don't know how I'm going to be in sync with the slides that I'm not running, but we will try. Just listening to Matthew, I kind of spotted one thing that we have in common. One of the pivotal moments of my story happened on October 6th, and which is kind of the frame of from 5th to 7th when the event happened. I don't know when you actually had the 6th. So, it's kind of faith. Yeah, let's start it. The picture was taken by my current wife. So, if you ask her, it's art. You can see some horizontal lines. Actually, it's me in Philadelphia standing beside the Liberty Bell. A few words about me and what we are doing as a company is I'm from Hungary, and I started as a software developer, then IT sales, and at one point in 2009, I had a hunch that we were doing irrational decisions, and using these irrational decisions, we could figure out what will be a successful innovation and how it will be successful. And using public information and customer irrationality, we were 90+% in predicting success or failure of innovations. And with this idea, I wrote a short paper, sent it out to Ivy League professors, got 3 emails back that it's cool that I'm sending them emails, but don't make this a habit. But eventually could validate the idea and started working on it. And since Hungary and Europe is not a hotbed for innovation, especially business innovation, I liquidated all my assets and incorporated a US company, moved to the US, actually was traveling back and forth. And since I couldn't manage a work visa, I was using just regular business traveler visa. And I was really focusing on doing everything by the rule. And during that time of my life, just like any traditional startup or fuck-up story starts, everything was like a fairy tale. Everything was working out very well. I felt like I'm in an elevator when everyone else was using the stairs. Whatever you can dream of, or I could dream of, next day, serendipity moment happened. I was living in Philadelphia, and I felt free, really free. I really felt being at the right spot, meeting the right people, and just pure freedom, enjoying life to the fullest, living days in a flow, literally. Just waking up and just always being in the right spot at the right time. One of my friends described this situation or time of my life that if I wanted to meet Barack Obama, this was 2011, then the question wasn't whether I would meet him, rather than will I be asshole enough to let them call me instead of showing up at the doorstep. So I felt that I can make anything happen. And I actually did, because I was able to meet someone who, just listening to me, didn't really understand what we were doing. But he told me that I know a guy called Tony Sai, and if you get back, then I'm going to introduce you to him, or at least try to introduce you to him. You kind of speak very similar like to him. It doesn't make sense to me, but you should speak to him. So I was literally at the edge of the breakthrough. Tolnai was the CEO of Zappos, if that rings a bell. And yeah, I wouldn't be here if the story continued with this arc. And eventually, shit hit the fan. I landed in Philadelphia, and yeah, it wasn't my lucky day. I was picked by immigration for a secondary interview, in which they bring you in a secluded, somewhat dark room, and you start having a chat with an official person. It can take some time, but eventually they found something that, according to them, was not in line with the visa I was using or trying to enter. And at that point, they started yelling at me. I'm not going to do that to you, but they told me that, Mr. Tolnai, today you're not going to enter the United States. And by that time, I had some 100K invested in this whole thing, setting up the company, building up all the stuff, getting a lot of stuff together. And yeah, they treat you as a criminal. I'm not sure you know what is happening, but you don't have any rights. So when you're talking to immigration, you're a totally nobody, not even a criminal. And I mean it, because you didn't enter the United States yet, but you're not in Europe or any other country anymore. You can't call a lawyer, you can't call your friends, nobody. No one knows what's going on with you. You can't pull out your phone, no one knows what's happening with you. But it has its upside. I mean, I never passed security back to the plane as fast as on that day. It was a total VIP treatment. Fellas in black suit, border guards or police, whatever, they help you pass through all the crowd to the door of the airplane. They even take care of your passport so that you don't lose it. Because if you have it on you, I mean, you might lose it through the airport. They hand it over to the cabin crew. And yeah, it was kind of scary, humiliating, being treated as a criminal. But the cabin crew was very kind to me. And when we landed back in London, I got my passport back, and that's when I really let it sink in. That's when I fell to the ground and started crying while waiting for the connecting flight back to Budapest. But I told myself, what's this? Just a hiccup. I mean, so far I have solved every problem, unsurmountable problems. It's not going to be a problem to me. So I got back to Hungary and immediately turned up the volume, turned up the engine, and started solving the problem. And yeah, about 1.5 months later, I had to realize that all doors are closed. It's not going to happen, and probably I will lose all my assets because I can't travel back. It's just impossible to sell your car or get out of the lease contract or anything if you're not there. And yep. And that's when the downward spiral started. And it was fast, incredibly fast. So we are early December 2011. And I didn't wake up. I didn't get out of bed. Back girlfriend, now wife and mother of my son. She didn't know if I would be alive coming home. So she left early in the morning to go working, and she had no idea what's going to be at home when she arrives. And I tried to get professional help, but to be honest, I was an asshole. So just sitting in front of someone who is trying to tell you that everything is okay, when looking at them, you don't really feel that they want to be there, and you've been in a place where you know what freedom is. And then I just told them that, I know what freedom is. And right now, you have no idea what freedom is. So just stop the conversation here. So I was really an asshole. And that's when I got to the point that, what was my life about? What did I dream of? And I dreamt of living free, using my creativity, using my head to create something, to give to the world, to really just change something in the world. I didn't achieve this, but I achieved living in the flow and living free, totally free. I experienced that. And some people live, to 80, 100 years and never experience that. So at that point, it was an absolutely logical decision that this was my life. That, I have experienced everything that I wanted from life, so let's call it a quit. And this is the bridge that I decided I will be jumping from in front of a truck. So I made the decision, but I didn't ever get to the bridge because we started having a conversation with my wife, and decided that if I cannot accept outside help, / it didn't work out for me, then it's time to try something new and help myself. And that help was the El Camino de Santiago. How many you know it? Should I talk about the El Camino? Some of you know. Okay. It's a pilgrimage in northern Spain, 800, somewhat more kilometers, and it's about 30 days to go through it. And the lovely and beautiful part of the El Camino is that you cannot stop for more than one night in any location, so you have to keep going. And the other is, it's pretty much stripped down to the barest. So what you do is you wake up in the morning, you take your daily walk, 20 kilometers, 30, whatever, and then you treat your feet, take care of your body, try to take care of your soul, have some food. If you're lucky enough, you have accommodation. If not, then you sleep wherever you can. And the next day it begins. And eventually I got to the point where around halfway of the trip, in a parochial accommodation, there was a circle and everyone had to share why they are on the road. And I was just sitting there. Before that, I was sleeping in the afternoon, so I was late to the meeting. And I just outright told them that I'm here to decide whether I want to leave or not. And just like now, I started crying. And I didn't stop for the next 2 hours. But that was when everything changed. And I could reframe the whole story. And I was able to take some learnings out of that. Like, I know how it feels to be free. I know that you can spend days in flow. I know it, I've been there. Which means I can share it with you. And once I get back there, because I eventually will, I will know. And I'm gonna cherish that moment and treat it totally different. And at the end of the Camino, quite reborn, I made a kind of theatrical act of breaking my sticks, walking sticks, to really stop leaning on something, to stand up and start walking without any help. And I got back to Hungary, eventually married my wife, and started rebuilding the company from scratch. We've been remote only since the inception, and started working with clients like MetLife, HP, Deutsche Telekom, smaller, unknown startups, and eventually got to the point where my opinion was featured in the printed version of Harvard Business Review, which was a pretty big deal. I mean, there are some bigger deals like being on the front page or Harvard Business Review publishing your book. But it was really a big deal, especially I was challenging one of innovation's best minds. And time proved that I was right, unfortunately. But yeah, we were on the track. And in 2017, my current partner joined the company, and we got to the point where we have a company in Vienna. And summer 2022, I landed in Toronto with a proper work visa and trying to build my company here and get back to the North American market because I have an unfinished business there. And I wanted to put our team up here, but yeah, they couldn't all make it to the meeting. Most meetings are optional in the company, so I couldn't take a picture of the whole team. So I brought the hoodie with me, the company hoodie. Yeah, that's pretty much the story. Did I miss something, Marcia? No? Thank you. And the lessons learned, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I missed something. I fucked up the lessons learned part. So what I did learn, and one of them is kind of new, inspired by Matthew. First, have a team. And even if you believe that you don't have a team, just look around. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, but you always have a family. You always have a team around you. And share your vulnerability with them, because everything is easier in a team. I mean, when we applied for the work visa, some of the bad memories kicked in, and it was very good to rely on someone who wasn't influenced by all these bad memories and could see the situation as it is and not get all emotional about it. Like, immigration asking questions, stuff like that. The other is that entrepreneurship comes with a huge mental burden. It can come. It doesn't necessarily come, but it can. So be proactive. If someone is not having the time of their life, and you can see it, step up. Be aggressive. Because we don't know. We don't know that it's totally not okay to not get out of bed at all. And the last one is the difference between your decisions and the outcomes. So the reason I became depressed, because I thought that my decisions will define the outcome. And once my decision had absolutely no impact on the outcome, my life just fell apart. But if you take a serious look at all the decisions that you make throughout your life and the outcomes, then you will really realize that there are a lot of random factors in most of the outcomes. So you can control your decisions, but you never control the outcome. And that really helps with putting things in perspective. And the one that was inspired by Matthew, which I didn't realize until today, is that the company I built is taking over the fuck-ups from our clients. So practically, we're testing markets quickly, aggressively, and we're not afraid to fuck it up and fail. But I didn't realize it up until, so thank you for that. So those are my lessons learned, and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you. That was like a deeply moving story. I think everybody was just on the edge of their seats. You could hear a pin drop. Thank you so much for the vulnerability and sharing that. So yeah, we'll open it up for a few questions. Oh, there's one there. Sorry. Yeah. Here, sorry, somebody over there already has the mic. My bad. Yeah.
Oh, Okay. I remember you mentioned that you were talking to somebody, and you mentioned you were being an asshole, and you said, you don't know what it's like to be free. I know what it's like to have freedom. Throughout your journey, has your perception of freedom changed at all?
No. No, I mean, it was such a strong emotional moment that there's a difference between freedom and freedom. So when one serendipity moment happens after the other, and it just feels like you're in sync with time, and whatever is happening. I mean, you are time, practically. Does this make sense? Okay.
Hi. Thank you so much for your story. I feel like it was really, really moving, and we definitely teared up front here too. So my question, I guess, is kind of a follow-up of what the last person asked, but I'm just curious, like, how do you actually define freedom, and why did you feel like being in Hungary you couldn't have it, but in America you could?
It was 2011, so not a lot of video calls back then. But for me, freedom is the full and uncompromised freedom of creation. And the right supporting community, like here in Toronto or back in Philadelphia. I just feel like I feel more like a cultural fit here than in Europe. I have a high appreciation for Europe when it comes to museums, paintings, architectural stuff. But when it comes to business culture or innovation or, I don't know, I just feel in sync here. So and I'm not saying that, everyone should move here because for whatever, you can only find freedom in North America. That's not true. For me, it's North America. And I really mean that freedom is where you feel home and where you feel in sync with everything. So even within the US, I was around Tampa for a short period, and I wouldn't say that it was a fit. But back in Philadelphia, I parked my car, and I didn't understand, the parking signs, whether I should be paying or not. I mean, it's kind of like here doing the G1 and all the demerit points, and if you're 16 before 5 a.m., fuck me. So, yeah, it was that same kind of feeling around Tampa and back in Philadelphia. But I just immediately clicked, found a parking guy, and everything managed. Like I rented a space there, and in Philly it was hard to find a parking spot, and no one could help me, not even the property manager. And within 1.5 hours, just 2 blocks away, I got my parking spot. So everything clicks.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We have one more question.
and
before
if
we
you
wrap it
don't
up.
want to ask the question here, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn or just get in
For
touch
sure.
later.
So yeah, we'll take one more and
Hi, Sia.
See.
I just wanted to ask, coming from Europe and wanting to do everything by the books, and then having this experience with the States, did that change your attitude towards moving to Canada, immigration in general, or were you just like, well, now I mean, it's similar to the last question, I guess, but.
What do you mean with immigration?
I mean, you said you thought you did everything by the books, and then you still had this experience with the States. But now still you moved to Canada and you took that, I don't want to say risk, because I'm sure you did everything.
It is a risk.
But at any point, did you think, oh, maybe I'll just stay in Europe, maybe I'll just do it the easy way, in quotes, and then?
Never ever. I mean, the funny story is that the nitpicking when I was denied entry was because I was helping a solopreneur, and I didn't take money. But at one point, Jordan, who is actually my friend ever since, so Jordan asked me that you've been helping so much, how can I help you? And I told him, you can do something about the website. And they used this as kind of a transaction that I helped Jordan, Jordan helped me, and they asked me, okay, what is it worth? I told $50. So it was $50 of illegal work that didn't allow me to pass through. But my stance on immigration is that most countries make it very hard for immigrants to get in the country and then to excel. So the reason that most of the successful companies are run by immigrants is because we weren't born here. It's just a huge struggle and a huge risk to get here. I mean, right now, we put everything. I put all my assets on making it work here. But I'm not afraid. I am.
So who here is an immigrant? I'm curious. Let's do hand raised. That's amazing. Round of applause to all the amazing immigrants. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have questions.
Awesome. Yeah, if you have any other questions for Matt or for Akos, please make sure to connect with them on LinkedIn or on social, and definitely chat with them afterwards as well.